on the new water heater or upgrade to a tankless water heater for just $64 a month, plus $500 in rebates. Get hot water today by India's most trusted hot water plumbing company, Carter Plumbing.
Hot water today or till we pay. Carter Plumbing will save the day. 859-9999. CartersLinePlumber.com.
Are you 40 years old in great health and want life insurance coverage with no exam and instant coverage options? Big Blue can do that. Have you taken your safety and health issues and still have life insurance coverage with no exam needed? Big Blue can do that. Are you on meds for anxiety, suicide, diabetes, or other health glitches and just want the best rate possible without a lot of hassles? Big Blue can do that. To find the most affordable term life coverage options for you, all you need to do is call Big Blue at 800-444-9336. Big Blue does term life insurance better than anyone else on the radio. And they'll be able to get you $1 million to $4 million of term life coverage with no exam. For the best term life insurance deals in America, call Big Blue at 800-444-9336. 800-444-9336. Remember, Big Blue is like you. Once a week, he can do that too. Call 800-444-9336 or visit bigblue.com.
Paid for by care provider. Premiums will vary. Plans depend on age, location, and other factors. Visit bigblue.com.
People join Walk MS to raise awareness and funds that change the world for everyone affected by multiple sclerosis. MS attacks the brain and spinal cord. It's the most common neurological disease leading to disability in young adults. Walk MS brings communities together, creating teams with friends, loved ones, and coworkers to rally around those we care about and end MS forever. Join us. Together we are stronger. Walk MS fundraising accelerates research breakthroughs and life-changing breakthroughs. It will take all of our passion, determination, and fundraising to end MS forever. Together, we can change the world for people with MS. Join us. Register today, start a team, and raise funds at walkms.org.
In America, the zip code you're born into can determine your future. If this baby was born a couple miles away, his chances of dropping out of school skyrocket. Born 5 miles farther, his chances of experiencing violent crime rise. With just one town over, his chances at a healthier life improve. At the Y, our programs help all kids thrive, no matter where they're from. Support the people.
Tom has been a teacher for over 4 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked a question and he didn't remember the answer. I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry. His last time talked about complicated lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Dreaming of becoming a professional race car driver? Speeding around empty parking lots is a start, but going pro takes time. So does quitting smoking. It's not about stopping in one day. It's about starting from day one. You just need to take that first step. Get started on your journey toward a smoke-free life with the American Cancer Society. We'll give you the support and resources you need to quit smoking. The finish line is closer than you think. Learn more at cancer.org/smokeout.
This is Indy Sports Ticket 1430 WXNTA Indianapolis, WNDX HD2 Lawrence, Indianapolis, a Cumulus media station. Let's do this. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket.
What's going on? Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching on X__Jonathan Smith if you want to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. Yeah, here we go. Ross, are you saying you can't hear me, or are you saying that you can hear me? Because I feel like if you could hear me, you wouldn't say we can hear you. So, yeah, YouTube, if you're having issues, let me know. We've had some problems this morning with this computer and some things. So hopefully everything's good and the people on YouTube can hear me. If not, X people, can you let me know if you can hear me? That would be great. So Colts played the Packers over the weekend in obviously their second preseason game. I don't think things went exactly according to plan. Packers got the ball first. They ran the football quite a bit. And, Anthony Richardson only gets to play 3 drives. Daniel Jones gets to play 2. I was kind of curious to see, if we were going to see Anthony Richardson come out and play there in the third quarter. And that sadly did not end up happening. So anyway, Colts and Packers. The Colts lost, but that's not really what people cared about. That's not why people were watching the games or anything like that. We wanted to see Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. And I wasn't really impressed by either one. I sent out a tweet last night, as I was prepping for the show today. And I very simply said, if you're an Anthony Richardson stan, don't tune in because I don't have very many nice things to say about Anthony Richardson. And the same thing went for Daniel Jones. Now, in order to give Daniel Jones a little bit of credit here, Daniel Jones looked significantly better in the second preseason game than he did in the first, right? He goes 7 of 11 for 101 yards against the Packers on Saturday, as opposed to 10 of 21 for 144 yards like he did against the Baltimore Ravens. And he looked better. I thought he looked more comfortable, right? He comes out, in that first, drive, and things did not look good. 4 plays and a punt was a really, really bad start. But the second drive, he looked a lot better. 11 plays, 77 yards, right? He was 6 of 8 passing on that drive. Like the offense looked like a legitimate NFL offense, right? And Daniel Jones looked like a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. He was accurate, as I said, 6 of 8 passing, right? He just looked a little more comfortable. The offense looked to be on time, right? And I thought that the biggest thing is he comes out on that first drive, and Tyler Warren is wide open. I mean, just what, and for a big play. And Daniel Jones steps up in the pocket, and he pulls, and Anthony Richardson sails the football over his head, even though Tyler Warren, is wide open. It was really funny. Didn't see any Anthony Richardson haters chiming in on that throw over on good old social media. So that was funny. But he misses him, right? And then, Colts punt. And that happens sometimes. I said this a lot with Anthony Richardson last year, so I think it's only fair of me to say the same thing about Daniel Jones. Even NFL quarterbacks miss open receivers, even the really good ones like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. Sometimes you miss open receivers. It happens. Okay? I thought the only truly terrible thing that Daniel Jones did was fumble the snap, but he got back on it. And then he comes out on the second drive after a bad first drive where he misses Tyler Warren and he starts 1 of 3 passing. He comes back out on the second drive, and just the ability to bounce back and settle in after a rough drive is a good sign. And obviously, he actually hits Tyler Warren, who's wide open again for a really big play. And after watching Daniel Jones in that performance, my opinion on him hasn't really changed. It hasn't. This is the downside of having 6 years of NFL tape out there where you're just not very good. I've seen Daniel Jones put together solid drives like that second one where he was 6 of 8 passing and he led the Colts into field goal range for a field goal. Like I've seen him do that before. I just haven't seen him do it consistently. And when you only get to play 2 drives, it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, he's going to be super consistent now. It's really hard for me to get there with that. And so sure, he looked like a starting quarterback on that second drive. He looked crisp. It was on time. He bounced back, hit an open Warren. But I don't know. I just felt like he kind of did all the things that I expected for him to do. So did I think he was good? No. Did I think he was bad? No. I thought he was Daniel Jones. And that was it. And Anthony Richardson, same thing. I didn't think Anthony Richardson was good. I didn't think that Anthony Richardson was bad. And I say that, and all the Anthony Richardson stands are going crazy right now. Like, what are you talking about? That first drive was so good. It was. The first drive from Anthony Richardson was impressive, whether you're an Anthony Richardson fan or not. He was 5 of 6 passing for 64 yards. He hit every easy throw. The stuff that we've been wanting to see from Anthony Richardson, he did, right? Hits, Gould a couple times on some easy passes, like, 8-yard out routes, on time, on target, very consistent. There was a play where the Packers blitzed and the pocket collapsed and it was 3rd and 9, and Anthony Richardson just takes off and he picks up 9 yards. And like he did that, and I was like, yeah, that's why he's still there. Right? And that is what we wanted to see from him, right? A little bit of magic on the drive with the 3rd and 9 scramble where he picked up the first down. And just good, normal, solid quarterback play. That was the other thing that we saw from him, hitting Gould multiple times for easy completions. I think every completion from Anthony Richardson on that drive, the ball was caught, less than 10 yards down the field. And that has been the issue with him. He hasn't been very consistent throwing the football on passes less than 10 yards down the field. So very impressive play from him on the first drive. That's it. Just on the first drive. And then the second drive happens. Colts defense, they do a good job. They force a fumble. They get on it. And I'm like, all right, Anthony Richardson has the ball in Packers territory. Go score another touchdown here. Play very similarly to how you did on the first drive. And, I might buy in a little bit more. And then he misses DJ Giddens not once, but twice on what should have been easy completions, especially the first one. He's just running a little out route. Anthony Richardson leaves it behind him. And, Giddens drops it. Packers defenders right there, makes a decent play on the ball. And, oh, man. It's like, all right, here we go again. Maybe he'll bounce back. He didn't. Giddens again, swinging wide out of the backfield. Anthony Richardson just dirts it. And then the third incompletion to Will Mallory, that was a tough throw. It was. Trying to squeeze it between 3 defenders was tough. He had Giddens open underneath. He didn't want that for some reason. And instead, he pushed it to Will Mallory. Really tough throw there. Don't really mind that incompletion. And then he finishes the drive out by hitting DJ Giddens on a screen. The Colts kicked a field goal, right? They're up, 13-0 or whatever it was at that point. The issue is that when your defense does you such a great favor of forcing a turnover in the red zone, in your opponent's territory, you have to score touchdowns there, not field goals. Okay? Like that can't happen. So the first drive from Richardson, I thought was really good. On time, on target, made the easy things look easy. Did all the things that we've been asking from him. Second drive, he looked like the Anthony Richardson we've seen the last couple of years. Missed a couple easy throws, passed up an easy throw for a much tougher throw. It fell incomplete. And then, he hits a screen and the Colts kick a field goal. And then the third drive comes around. And if I haven't, if you're an Anthony Richardson person, and I probably haven't made you upset yet, that's about to change right here. The third drive, people are going to say, was ruined by A.D. Mitchell lining up offsides. If A.D. Mitchell, if he just lined up on sides, then, that big play to Gould would have stood, and then the Colts would have been cooking and all this kind of stuff. But A.D. Mitchell didn't line up on sides, right? So play comes back. Matt Consalves miss a twist or a stunt, whatever you want to call it, leading to Anthony Richardson getting sacked. And, Colts punt, whatever. That's the end of the half. The throw that Anthony Richardson made to Anthony Gould that was ruined by A.D. Mitchell, that was the best play of the Colts preseason from any of the quarterbacks. And, for people out there who wonder why the Colts haven't moved off of Anthony Richardson yet, that's why. That play right there is why Anthony Richardson was taken 4th overall. And it's why in year 3, the Colts are still hopeful that he can figure it out and that he can be their starting quarterback. Because Daniel Jones isn't making that play. That play was insane. Blitz, Anthony Richardson gets hit, just shrugs the guy off, steps up in the pocket, and then throws a perfect 40-yard pass down the field under pressure. Daniel Jones isn't doing that. He's not. And so if you're wondering, I wonder why the Colts are even rolling with Richardson. That play, because he can do crazy things like that. There's 4 other quarterbacks in the NFL, if that, who could make that play. I don't think that Joe Burrow could. I don't think that he would have broken that sack. Mahomes, maybe. Josh Allen, absolutely. Lamar Jackson, probably, because he's so elusive. Jalen Hurts, maybe. That's it. There's a very short list of NFL quarterbacks who can make that play, that throw to Gould. And, everyone is freaking out about this play. For me, it's just okay, I've seen him do that before. Also, very quick side note. That play is also why A.D. Mitchell can't be trusted. It's why he's probably not going to play as much as people want him to during the regular season. Mentally, you have to be engaged. Mentally, you have to do the right things, right? And it seems like A.D. Mitchell is only halfway there. It seems like physically he's fine. He separates well and all those things. But mentally, at some point, he has to get over these hurdles. People, I think, are overreacting to, now back to Richardson. I think people are overreacting to the play that Anthony Richardson made, throwing the deep ball to Gould that got brought back. And I think people are overreacting to that one drive from Anthony Richardson where he played well. We've seen him do all of those things before. We've seen him, break sacks and then make plays downfield with his arm. And we've seen him put together one single drive. Let me take you back to last year in the preseason. Colts are playing the Bengals Thursday night. Everyone, all eyes are on the Colts and Anthony Richardson. What's he going to look like in year 2? And he did exactly what he did on Saturday. He comes out, first drive. It was just impressive. Right? He goes 7 of 8, 65 yards, and a touchdown pass to A.D. Mitchell. And everyone is just over the moon excited. Oh, he's figured it out. Watch out, Anthony Richardson. He's got it. You guys see that drive, 7 of 8, 65 yards, and a touchdown. And from that point forward, Anthony Richardson was 1 of 6 passing. 1 of 6 after that first drive. He finished the day, this is last year, against the Bengals, 8 of 14 for 86 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. 1 of 6 for 21 yards with a pick. That's what he was after the opening drive last year in the Colts' first preseason game against the Bengals. And that's basically what he did on Saturday. Comes out, starts the day 5 of 6 passing for 64 yards. Everyone's excited. Oh, look at that. He's doing all the easy things. Anthony Richardson, he's figured it out. He totally would have done this against the Ravens. We don't know that. So he starts 5 of 6 for 64 yards. And then he finishes the day 6 of 11 for 73 yards. After the first drive, right, where he starts 5 of 6, and everyone's just amped. After the first drive, he goes 1 of 5 for 9 yards passing. What's different? Nothing. This is the same inconsistency that we've seen from him for the last, 2 years going into year 3 now. So sure, was the first drive impressive? Absolutely. But has my opinion changed on Anthony Richardson? Not at all. Great start, and then just went downhill from there. Oh, but Jonathan, what about that throw to Gould? The throw against Houston last year, week 1 to Alec Pierce, was more impressive. Again, I've seen him do impressive things like that before. The issue with him has been consistency, and he wasn't consistent on Saturday. One good drive. That's all we got from him, and we've seen him do that before. I need like 3 good drives in a row, and he had an opportunity to do that. They gave him 3 drives. The first one was good, the second one was not, and neither was the third. So my opinion on Daniel Jones remains the same. He's Daniel Jones. My opinion on Anthony Richardson remains the same. The highs look awesome. They do. But there's too many lows, and he continues to be too inconsistent. Inconsistent against the Green Bay Packers backups, might I add. Shane Steichen said some really interesting things yesterday during the press conference, including the fact that he was close to making a decision on who's going to be the starter between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. My thoughts on that when we come back in 4 minutes.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry. Larry saves his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really comes off the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause.
Can you go under the apply US cables on the front under the desk? 93
Blue ice cream face. No, I'm keeping these forever. At Holiday World and Splash and Safari, we can't free up your phone storage, but we do have free soft drinks, parking, and sunscreen. Time to make room for the good stuff. Visit holidayworld.com.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your priceless vinyl collection. Sure, you sleep on a futon because the money most people would have spent on a bed you spent on more records. But forget the fact that you can stream just about any song ever created for a few dollars a month. No, you need to listen to music in the most difficult way possible. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurance not available in all states or situations. If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you fly. Plus, you get free.
Can you guys still hear me?
Luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. Once in your wallet.
Terms and projects is subject to change. See Capital.com for details.
You took the elevator to the 48th floor. Your fingertips touched, sending a wave of desire through the air. The room pulsed with a silent craving as he drew you in with his smoldering gaze. Before uttering the words, your body ached
Can you guys still hear me? They supposedly fixed them.
You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes.
God.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Your home for Dead Talkers, weekdays from noon to 3. Presented by Moon Drops Distillery. This is Indie Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app. It's today's sports world. It's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indie Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching on X__ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app. No Dan Dawkins this week. He is gone on vacation, so just a whole lot of me, which is a great thing if you ask me. So, Colts and Packers. Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Shane Steichen said yesterday during his press conference that he is close to making a quarterback decision. And I am very intrigued to see how he makes this choice, because I just feel like we've seen the same thing from both players time and time again. Like, they continue to just kind of match the other player's level of mehness. Okay? Like, one good drive, and that's it. Like, that's all we got from Daniel Jones. That's all we got from Anthony Richardson. Outside of the one good drive for Daniel Jones and outside of the one good drive for Anthony Richardson, it's just been underwhelming. It's like, oh, Colts are going to be terrible this year. That's what it feels like. By the way, the the Indianapolis Colts just signed former Miami Dolphin Xavier Howard to kind of help fill out some of that cornerback room while, we're waiting on everyone else to get healthy. But I want to stay on Richardson and Jones before we talk about Howard. We saw the same thing from both guys. One good drive and underwhelming play. As of today, I would still go with Daniel Jones. Anthony Richardson had a chance to change my mind on Saturday, and he didn't. He did one part of it. He stayed healthy, right? Was able to play for a full quarter. Just bravo, Anthony Richardson. Good job, man. You stayed healthy for one full quarter. Great. The first drive from Richardson, as I said, very impressive. Everything that we wanted to see from him. But after that, very inconsistent, and he missed easy throws, right? Like, you can't have that from your third-year quarterback who was, the fourth overall pick. Oh, but Jonathan, what about the throw to Anthony Gould? What about the throw? What about it? We've seen that from him time and time again. What I haven't seen him do, Richardson, is make a play like that to Anthony Gould, right? Breaks a sack, steps up, drops a dime. What I haven't seen him do is make a play like that, have it get called back because A.D. Mitchell lined up offsides. I almost said that I can't believe it, but I can because he is A.D. Mitchell. What I haven't seen him do is make a big play, have it get called back, and then overcome it. That's what the best quarterbacks in the NFL do. They make a play, something doesn't go right. There's a holding call, there's, offensive pass interference, someone lined up off sides, and they say, okay, no big deal. Watch me do it again. Watch me pick up this first down anyway. The best quarterbacks in the NFL, this is what they do. They cover up the mistakes of their teammates with consistently great play. During basketball season, You'll hear me say that the 3-point shot covers a multitude of sins. You can give up, 95 points in college basketball, but if you make 25 threes, it's probably not going to matter, and you're probably going to win anyway, right? You can turn the ball over 17 times, but if you make 23s, it's not going to matter. You're probably going to win anyway. In the NFL, it's the quarterback who covers a multitude of sins. Like why do the Chiefs win time and time again? Because they have Mahomes. So when there's, a holding on 2nd and 4, and all of a sudden it's 2nd and 14, they still pick up the first down because Patrick Mahomes just figures it out. And Anthony Richardson, I'm not convinced, can do that. And that is supposed to be the thing that separates him from Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is an on-schedule quarterback. If you go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 5 to 3rd and 2, then you're going to be fine with Daniel Jones as your starting quarterback. The issue is that's just not how it works, because you're going to commit penalties. You're going to have false starts. You're going to have holding calls. You're going to get sacked at some point. And as soon as one of those things happens with Daniel Jones as your starting quarterback, you're done. Just go ahead and send the punt unit out there, unless the defense does something dumb like, a holding or a pass interference or a face mask or something like that to give you the first down back. Part of the draw to Anthony Richardson is he's supposed to be talented enough to overcome those mistakes made by not only himself, but also his teammates. Big plays get called back all the time. And it doesn't seem to impact the Ravens or the Bills or the Chiefs or the Bengals on offense, because they have quarterbacks who just line it up and say, okay, I'm going to go and do it again. And Anthony Richardson, this goes back to consistency, hasn't reached that point yet. I still trust Daniel Jones to run the offense more than I do Anthony Richardson, right? And here's the other thing. The thing that I have been very critical of Daniel Jones of. He's not a big play guy. He's not, right? It's a lot of short, underneath stuff. And this is where Shane Steichen becomes very important. And we saw him do this with Gardner Minshew. That's what it is. Gardner Minshew is Daniel Jones light, right? Even though you could argue that, no, I'm not even going to do that right now. It's Monday. I'm not. Never mind. This is where Shane Steichen becomes important. Shane Steichen can scheme up big plays. We saw him do it twice in 2 possessions with Daniel Jones. Jones just missed Tyler Warren the first time, sailed it over his head. And then they come back. They run a very similar play where there's 2 tight ends lined up on the same side, and they have Tyler Warren run outside of the outside tight end on like this wheel route. And he gets open both times because the Packers, their defense doesn't switch off properly. And the first time, Jones misses him. And then the second time, he hits him. Shane Steichen, I get it. Like, he's on the hot seat and there's questions. I am still inclined to believe that he's at a minimum, a good play caller most of the time, except for whenever he wants to dial up some trick plays and high leverage spots. Not a fan of that. But in terms of like designing plays and scheming guys open, I do think that's something that he's good at. The issue is that Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco were the 2 quarterbacks that the Colts were running out there last year. And if you have a guy like Gardner Minshew in year 1 of Shane Steichen, or potentially Daniel Jones this year, if you have a guy who can just hit guys that are open, then you're going to connect on more of those big plays. Shane Steichen said yesterday during his press conference that he plans on making a decision soon in terms of who the starting quarterback is going to be. He says that he's close. I don't know. I don't know what that means. It was also really interesting. He never mentioned Chris Ballard or Carly Ursay weighing in on the decision. He said at least 4 times, "I'm making this decision." I would play the audio for you, but we've had some issues with this computer this morning. And so hopefully we find out at some point this week who the starter is going to be. I know that the plan in Cleveland is, Stefanski wants to announce the starter before the third preseason game. That way they can have an extra week to prep for whoever their week one opponent is. That makes a lot of sense to me. I feel like Shane Steichen would want to do the same thing. I feel like at this point, like, you've seen Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson enough over the last 3 weeks, both, in preseason games and joint practices and in normal practices, that like you know what you're dealing with. Like there should be enough data now for Shane Steichen for him to make a decision. And it's going to come down to, I think, a lot of the things that we don't get to see. How are they doing in meetings? All of those important things. How do they get out of the huddle? How do they get into the huddle? What do his teammates think of him, or of Jones and Richardson, and all those things. So I don't know who it's going to be. If I had to bet, I would bet on Daniel Jones. It just really sucks that neither guy has just grabbed the job. It feels like the entire, last 3 weeks, all 3 weeks of training camp, just kind of feels like Shane Steichen and Jim Bob Cooter and the rest of this Colts staff and team really has just been waiting for someone to just step in and be like, you know what? Hey guys, I got this. This is my job, actually. Like, I'm just gonna, do my own thing, and grab it and run with it. And Daniel Jones never did it, which it was going to be really hard for him to do that just because of how he plays. And Anthony Richardson never did it. So hopefully at some point this week we get an official word from Coach Steichen on who the starting quarterback is going to be for the Indianapolis Colts, because we're still waiting to hear who it's going to be. I don't know if I said this or not already. Eddie White is going to join the show at 11. He was at, Live over the weekend, and, we're going to talk a little bit of Fever, because believe it or not, they are still playing. They are currently the 6th seed in the WNBA, and of course, we're going to get his thoughts on the Colts and their performance on Saturday as well. But let's get to big Colts news. The Colts went out and signed Xavier Howard, 2-time All-Pro, 29 interceptions since 2017. That is the most in the NFL since 2017. Xavier Howard, very familiar with Lou Anarumo. Lou Anarumo was the defensive backs coach for the Miami Dolphins. Xavier Howard's first 2 years in the NFL. So big news there. The Colts, a lot of injuries in that cornerback room. Justin Wally out for the year. Kenny Moore has a knee. Hunter Wohler hurt his foot. Strong safety over, in the preseason game. Nick Cross, Hunter Wohler, both down right now. Hamstring injuries for Jalen Jones and Juju Brents. Javarius Ward has been banged up a little bit. I believe he played in the preseason game, but, only played a possession or two. So bringing in a guy like Xavier Howard, who has some issues, or had some issues off the field. He didn't play anywhere last year, so hopefully he's still in good enough football shape. I don't mind it. An older, savvy veteran trying to find his way back into the NFL was really good when he played in Miami. Him and Jalen Ramsey, like, the Dolphins weren't very good, but the secondary was, because they had those two guys down there. So I think this is smart on the part of Chris Ballard, bringing in a guy familiar with Lou Anarumo, and a guy who's had a lot of success throughout his time in the NFL, and a guy who can, like, legitimately take the football away. Like, as I said, he's the league leader in interceptions since 2017, and he didn't play last year. So good player, back end of his career. Hopefully he can come in here for a few weeks and kind of spell the Colts a little bit in that cornerback room as they try to get healthy. The defense from the Colts, better against the Packers than it was the Ravens. But there's one area in particular that continues to be very impressive with this Colts defense. I'll tell you what it is in 4 minutes. Check.
Not the gas pump, or the checkout counter, or the roof of your car. Now, if he has the Chase mobile app, he can use card lock.
Wait, I can just lock my car.
Yep, just a few tippy taps on his phone, and that sound, that's peace of mind from Chase.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank NA, member FDIC.
Ugh, my storage is full. I have to delete some photos. Don't need these. Holiday
Yeah, Ross, I would say it's a good pickup. And yeah, the studio guy, I got sent another email for it. I just all morning.
Holiday World and Splash and Safari. We can't free up your food storage, but we do have free soft drinks, parking, and sunscreen. Time to make room for the good stuff. Visit holidayworld.com.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie. I paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien in your bank account, or garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Find out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax is helping me. They're calming me down. They make me feel comfortable and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't want to IRS anymore, and I'm ready to live a comfortable life, a better life. It's because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
You owe the IRS. Don't go along. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfect.
Yeah, the missus is okay. She this is really weird that I can just talk to you guys. It's actually kind of nice though. Yeah, she's all right. She tested positive for COVID, but she's fine. We're gonna go play golf today. We're gonna go watch a movie tomorrow. Cause she she's got a quarantine or whatever. So yeah, she's fine. She's fine.
It's part sports. Kudos, they got it done. Doesn't matter if they win championships. Part pop culture is very Buckheimer. How did this come about? After we finished top
There's a par 3 course in Greenwood that we're gonna play at. So it's not nice at all, but she's played like once, so good place for her to learn. Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indie Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indie Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. Coming up, we did this event last year. We're doing it again this year because it went so well. Bourbon and Birdies is back. Join me and everyone else here at Indie Sports Ticket on Saturday, October 4th, for an afternoon of sipping high-end bourbon and hitting some golf balls. It's our second annual Bourbon and Birdies presented by Payless Liquors. It takes place at Back Nine Golf and Entertainment. That place is awesome. It was a great venue last year. We're going to have it there again this year. It's going to be a great day of entertainment, sampling incredible bourbons, hitting golf balls, eating food, and hanging out with some great people. Tickets are on sale now over at indiesportsticket.com, so make sure you go and get your tickets. Colts, the run defense was better. Still didn't think it was very good, but it was better against the Packers than it was against the Ravens. 40 carries for 159 yards. That is an improvement from the 42 carries for 177 yards that they gave up against the Ravens. Now, I thought that the biggest difference, or the thing that I liked the most, going from the Ravens game to the Packers game in terms of the run defense, because this is a very concerning thing for the Colts, especially once the backups are in. And sorry, I just don't really expect for Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner and Dyer Franklin and these guys to stay healthy all year. I did find the fact that they didn't give up any like super explosive runs like they did against the Ravens to be encouraging. That felt like a step in the right direction as the Colts continue to get ready for their regular season Week 1 game against the Miami Dolphins. Like the Ravens had a couple carries of like 17 yards and 21 yards and things like that. They didn't give up anything like that to the Packers. Like Sean Clifford had their longest run of the day for 11 yards, and it was off of a scramble. That's the other thing. A decent chunk of the Packers' yardage came off of scrambles from quarterbacks. Sean Clifford, he had one for 11 yards. He had another one for 9 yards, right? So that's 20 yards right there. I feel like the Packers, when they line the ball up and really just try to run power or whatever, it seems like the Colts held up a little bit better than they did against the Ravens. Part of that could be the Packers aren't as good as the Ravens, but I did feel like the Colts' run defense was a bit better than it was against the Ravens, especially with DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart in the game. The Packers had four rushes for only 9 yards on the one drive that both DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart were in the game. We knew that it would be better with those guys in there, but the question remains the same. What does the Colts defense look like on the plays where Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner aren't playing? The lack of depth along the defensive line is an issue. It is. Now, Eric Johnson had a really nice game. 10 tackles as a defensive tackle, that's a really good number. And that's what he was at the end of the game on Saturday. So maybe Eric Johnson is, working his way to some consideration for a little bit more playing time. Because, look, the Colts have plenty of defensive tackles who can rush the passer. They just can. Adetomiwa Adebawore, however you say his name. I need to pull it up in front of me. That way I can just read it and say it correctly. I said it right. Look at me. Adebawore, he can really rush the passer. Neville Gallimore can rush the passer. What the Colts don't really have is a backup defensive tackle who can just kind of put his hand in the dirt and be like, all right, guys, good luck. They don't really have that. I thought that backup linebacker Austin Ajaki, I hope that's how you say that. He had 9 tackles, right? Once again, he's a backup. But I just want the Colts to have more linebackers who are consistently around the football. That's the thing with Dyer Franklin, as not good of a player as I think that he is. He's around the football a lot. That's why he led the NFL in tackles. He could have had 200 tackles if he didn't miss 12% of his opportunities to make tackles. But hey, that's fine. Anyway, so I like that from him. I thought Segun Alubi was good at linebacker as well. He had 6 tackles. He's the projected starting linebacker, strong side. So yeah, but that's, we'll kind of see what they do with him. I know Lou Anarumo likes to play a lot of nickel, so only 2 linebackers. Alubi also was with Lou Anarumo previously, so we'll kind of see how they rotate him in and out. I did think that he looks good, though. The most impressive thing, though, for the Colts defensively has been the pass defense thus far, which is kind of surprising, right? With all of these different injuries to all these different players, the Colts are pretty thin. That's why they went and they signed Xavier Howard, good corner, right? Older, we'll see. There's a reason why no one wanted to pick him up last year. That could have been because of the off the field issues that he had going on, but I have been pleasantly surprised by this Colts defense on the back end so far. Like Chris Lamons was all over the place. All over the place. Okay, like in preseason games, you can kind of tell the backups that are out there that don't really need to be out there, that look like they're a level above everybody else. I think JT Tuimoloau, the rookie defensive end out of Ohio State, has shown that a bit. But Lamons fell into that category on Saturday. I mean, the dude was just everywhere. Tight man-to-man coverage, swatting balls away. He had a sack. Like, he looked really, really good. And it makes you feel a little more okay. I don't think you feel good about it, but I think you feel a little more okay with Kenny Moore maybe missing a game or two after watching Lamons just completely suffocate whoever he was defending against the Packers. And usually it was guys like McCole Hardman, a guy who's been in the league, right? A guy who's won Super Bowls with the Chiefs, like a legitimately good player. So I thought that Lamons played really well. He was definitely the guy defensively who jumped off the page. Now, the secondary as a whole continues to play well. 14 of 29 for 197 yards passing. That is what the three different Green Bay Packer quarterbacks combined for. Here's the biggest thing. It's not a numbers thing. They all looked like backups. And that's what they should look like, because that's what they are. Malik Willis made a couple nice plays, but I didn't feel like that was because of the secondary's fault. Like one play, Leatu Latu has a sack just waiting for him, and he couldn't bring Malik Willis down. Like, that's kind of been his issue. He can't seem to finish these plays whenever he has an opportunity to, and that's problematic. So the plays that were nice that Malik Willis made felt more like the pass rush didn't get home, or the Colts would blitz and it wouldn't get home, than it did the Colts secondary made a fundamental mistake. So that leads me to the thing that has to be better. The Colts pass rush. It had like one sack against the Green Bay Packers backup offensive line, and it didn't even come from one of your defensive linemen. It came from Chris Lamont, who had to blitz from the secondary. Like, that has to be better. It does. The Packers dropped back to throw 30 times, and the Colts only hit the quarterback 5 times. Like, that has to be better. It does. Like, I get it. The Colts secondary, it's improved between Javarius Ward and, obviously Kenny Moore is going to come back and play the nickel, and, Jalen Jones or Juju Brents as your cornerback too is a pretty good option, and Cam Bynum is, an upgraded safety, and I thought Nick Cross had a decent year last year. So sure, the secondary is better, but they can't cover all day. Like, you can't ask them to do that. That's not really fair to them. Also, you bring in, Xavier Howard as well to add a little bit more depth to that cornerback room. It doesn't matter if you can't get after the passer. Like, that is something that has to be better. Like, Leatu Latu, man. Like, let's go. Where was he at? It's the biggest question that I have for the Colts. Can they find a way to live in their opponent's offense's backfields more often than what they did last year? It seems like every play went for positive yardage. There weren't very many tackles for loss. There weren't enough sacks. They've got to find a way to generate more negative plays from the opponent's offense. And Lou Anarumo, he did something that we don't usually see from the Colts. At least we didn't see it under Gus Bradley. My favorite thing that I saw from the Colts in the game, Lou Anarumo blitzed 3 downs in a row on one possession. When was the last time the Colts did that? 3 blitzes in a row. Like, what? So hopefully that's something that can kind of help mask what I think is a not very good Colts defensive line, right? Like, can they blitz a little bit more often and get after the passer that way? Like that's what the Vikings did last year with Brian Flores. They blitzed a lot because they didn't have, outside of Andrew Van Ginkel, they didn't have an edge rusher who could just consistently win. I don't think that the Colts have that. I know that the hope was Leatu Latu would turn into that, but he hasn't. At least so far in the preseason, it looks like he hasn't. Now, maybe, the joint practices, he looks better and all those things, but I'm not buying into that. So, hopefully they can find a way to generate some pressure and create more negative plays from their opponent's offenses, because that's really what playing defense is about. How do we find a way to get them off schedule? Maybe it's a sack, a tackle for loss, a false start, because I do think that there's ways to generate those, and incompletion on 1st and 10, whatever it is. And maybe blitzing is the answer to that question for the Colts this next season. They also played a lot of man-to-man, which makes sense given that, they blitzed quite a bit in that game against Green Bay. So we'll see, right? We'll obviously have a much better idea of what the Colts look like and who they're going to be when the season actually starts, week 1 against the Miami Dolphins. A name I can't pronounce in the YouTube chat says that the Colts are an 8-9 or 9-8 team. Do you feel better with that record with Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson as far as moving forward? If Anthony Richardson does not play, you are in the same position next year. I understand that, and look, I have said it multiple times. Anthony Richardson needs to be the starter. Anthony Richardson probably should be the starter because, you're right. If it's Daniel Jones, then you're just doing this again next year, unless Daniel Jones is awesome, right? Because he's not 40 like Joe Flacco was last year. So, anyway, I am all in favor of Richardson being the starter. That's who I want. But Shane Steichen has to win games this year or his job's done. Chris Ballard has to win games this year or his job is done. He's gone. And, I'm sure that Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen and the rest of this Colts coaching staff and front office, I'm sure that they care about Anthony Richardson, and I'm sure that they want him to turn into a really good football player. But you know what Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard want more than for Anthony Richardson to develop and be a good player? They want to keep their jobs. And so, while yes, fans can sit around and ask the question of what's the best thing for the Colts long term, and the answer is pretty clear. It's let's play Anthony Richardson and see if this is the year that things finally click. Very easy for fans to ask that question. But the people who are on the verge of being fired, they can't answer that question. Like they have to provide results this season. So while yes, I hope that it's Richardson, hopefully we're going to get an announcement from Shane Steichen on who the starting quarterback is going to be at some point this week. As of right now, he hasn't made a choice. I hope it's Richardson, but I still think that it's going to be Daniel Jones. The great Eddie White is going to join the show at 11. So here in about 5 minutes, he was out at the Live Golf event. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit of Indiana Fever because they're staying afloat. I know that they won last night behind Kelsey Mitchell going out and getting 38. They lost to the Wings. That's not good, but they're staying afloat without Caitlin Clark. So we're going to talk to Eddie White about that a little bit. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit of Colts football as well with Eddie White when we come back here in about 4.5 minutes.
At Holiday World at Splash and Safari, we can't free up your phone storage, but we do have free soft drinks, parking, and sunscreen. Time to make room for the good stuff. Visit holidayworld.com.
Shake fast, absolutely free. Text BREAK 321321. That's break into 321321. Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, botulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away. As difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn
Are
more.
you 40 years old in great health and want life insurance coverage with no exam and instant options? Big Lou can do that. Are you 50 to 60 with health issues and still want life insurance coverage with no exam needed? Big Lou can do that. You want meds for anxiety, sleep apnea, diabetes, or other health conditions and just want the best rate possible without a lot of hassles. Big Lou can do that. To find the most affordable term life coverage options for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Big Lou does term life insurance better than anyone else on the radio, and he may be able to get you $1 million to $4 million of term life coverage with no exam. For the best term life insurance deals in America, call Big Lou at 800-444-9336. 800-444-9336. Remember, Big Lou is like you. Once a week, he can do that too. Call 800-444-9336 or visit biglou.com.
Paid for by term provider. Premiums will vary. Plans depend on age, location, and other factors. Visit biglou.com.
It's part sports.
Doesn't matter if they win championships.
Part pop culture.
Jerry Bruckheimer, how did this come about? After we finished talking on because it's completely this idea of these things are rocket ships.
And in the best celebrity interview.
Here with Jerry Seinfeld, was it truly a pitch about a show about nothing? The original pitch was how we use his material, which Larry and I knew we were lying when we said it, because nobody wants to see that.
And you've got the Rich Eisen Show podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save when protecting your most valuable possessions, like your price.
What's going on, Eddie? How are you? I'm doing good. Thanks for coming on today.
Because money most people would have spent on a bed, you spent on.
Yeah, appreciate it. Did you go to Live more than just Friday? Oh, nice. Cool. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk a little Fever and Colts too. It'll be good. We're going here in like 30 seconds. Thanks, Eddie.
Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X Club. What's in your wallet?
This is Indy Sports Ticket 1438, WXMTA, Indianapolis, WLDX HD2 Lawrence, Indianapolis, a Cumulus media station. Let's do this. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1438, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket.
What's going on? Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app. I am now joined by the host of the world's greatest postgame show, Eddie White. Eddie, what's going on, man? How are you? I'm doing really well. Thanks for coming on today. So you told me on the phone that you were at Live yesterday and on Friday as well. How was that? That's awesome. What's the biggest difference between going to a PGA event and a live event? That's awesome. Joined by Eddie White, host of the greatest post-game show after Pacer and Fever games. Speaking of the Fever, with Caitlin Clark being out, people haven't been paying as much attention, but this Fever team is still really good. How have the Fever been able to stay afloat without Caitlin Clark? Joined by Eddie White, talking a little Indiana Fever. You mentioned Kelsey Mitchell last night going for 38, just nothing but buckets. She's just been so good. Do you think that this is just a result of her getting to take more shots because Caitlin's out? Like, why is she playing so well right now? before the season started, my expectation, like identity wise, for the Fever, I thought that they'd play really fast. There'd be a lot of 3-point shooting, just kind of looking at the roster. How has the Fever's identity changed over the course of the season with all the injuries that have that have come up? Joined by Eddie White, host of the world's greatest post-game show, talking a little bit of Indiana Fever. You bring up, Caitlin and her passing. That to me has always been the thing that she's been the best at. Like the long range shooting is kind of what grabbed everyone's attention, but her ability to make just these amazing passes has always been the most impressive thing for me, just watching her. And I think people forget, like, Caitlin didn't lead them in scoring last year. It was Kelsey Mitchell. And I just love watching basketball in Indiana, Eddie, because especially, the Fever and the Pacers, because they've just got awesome point guards who are able to really run the show. Obviously, no Halliburton this year. What are kind of your expectations for the Pacers? Because their season starts in like 2 months or so.
Joined by Eddie White, talking a little Pacers and Fever. I agree with you. Like this team, like we talked so much about the depth last year of the Pacers, and obviously with Halliburton being gone, like that obviously sucks, and that's a huge blow. But there's still a lot of depth. I'm really excited about Jay Huff coming over from Memphis. It's going to be a lot of fun. I want to go to something that you said there though about how the only person who really has your best interest in mind is yourself. So I've been talking about this with the Colts. Like, I'm sure Shane Steichen wants for Anthony Richardson to develop into a really good player. But more than anything else, Shane Steichen would like to be the head coach of the Colts next year. Because of that, I think they're going to roll with Daniel Jones. What are kind of your thoughts on the Colts going into the season? And do you have any opinion on who you would start at quarterback for the Colts? Hmm.
Yeah. Joined by Eddie White. Last thing for you, Eddie, and I'll let you go. You've been around a lot of great coaches just kind of throughout your career. Don Shula, Coach Carlisle now, Stephanie White, Lou Holtz. Is there any like characteristic that all of them have in common that kind of help them be great coaches? The great Eddie White. Eddie, thanks for your time. That was a great answer. Thanks for your time. You're going to be at the game on Friday, I'm assuming. So head out, watch the Fever play against the Lynx Friday night at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Maybe, just maybe, you'll run into Eddie. And if you want a cigar, you should just ask him for one because he seems to always have them on him. You too. See Eddie. That is Eddie White. You can check him out on X at Eddie White 3. He's always great to have on. Sadly, no impressions that time. That's all right, though. When we come back here in about 4 minutes, Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones both played about the same amount on Saturday. Neither one really impressed. I'll tell you why in 4 minutes. That wasn't very smooth. That's okay. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time struggling with electric eBay has that part you need, ready to click quickly and sweats. For changes big and small. No matter or what, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things you could love. Valuable items only. Exclusive supply.
This is the story of the Lord. As a man, he does whatever it takes to keep power on his community. He wants a partner like Granger who does the same. Granger offers the professional grade products he needs. Ultra-reach to our plus fast, dependable delivery. So he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRANGER, Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, the ones get it done.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specialization in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. No application fee if you apply by September 3rd. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate Now you can with Skechers' newest Apple AirTag compatible sneakers, Find My Skechers. There's a clever hidden AirTag compartment under the shoe's insole. It's sleek, secure, and your child can't feel or see it. Then you can check where your kids' shoes are on the Find My app. Plus, they're available for boys and girls. Get Find My Skechers at Skechers.com, a Skechers store near you, or wherever kids' shoes are sold. Apple AirTags sold separately.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while. Yeah, I'm really falling off since I turned 40. I just don't get the results I used to get. You get lower testosterone. Yeah, I went through a lot of that. The body has less testosterone. And then genetics told me that it's the huge difference for me. I've seen that out too. Is it for real? Creating something called testosterone, which helps boost greater total testosterone levels and help you trim up and stay in there. And it's like, man, I'm like, what is it? I was thinking about cooking a balance for people to try for themselves. You just need to send a text. Text the right to 321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Eugenics Solar Tea, the #17 testosterone booster of GNC. Plus, text the right and get a bottle of Eugenics Thermal, our most powerful fatty acid ever. Help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text TREAK.
The free Indie Sports Ticket app. Stream us for free while changing out clogged toilets. It may one day be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indie Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy's Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. Big thanks to Eddie White for joining me in that last segment. If you're on YouTube and you couldn't hear, sorry about that. Like I said, we've had some issues with this PC this morning. Hopefully that'll all be fixed for tomorrow. X, I don't know if you could hear him or not. I hope you could, because he was awesome as always. Now, Daniel Jones was not awesome yesterday. He took the first snaps for the Indianapolis Colts in that second preseason game against the Green Bay Packers on Saturday, and I didn't think he was great. I did think that he looked better in the second preseason game against the Packers than he did in the first one against the Ravens. Against the Ravens, he was 10 of 21 for 144 yards. Against the Packers, he was 7 of 11 for 101 yards. Could have been 8 of 11, but he missed Tyler Warren on that first drive. But aside from that, I did think that he looked more comfortable in that game against the Packers than he did against the Ravens. Part of that could have been because he came in at a weird time before he thought he was going to against Baltimore. But I thought he looked a little more comfortable. The first drive, not good, starts 1 of 3 passing, but the second drive was just beautiful. It was 11 plays, 77 yards, and it ends or finishes with a Colts field goal. Okay, I thought that Daniel Jones just looked like an NFL quarterback. That's the very simple reality of it. He was very accurate, 6 of 8 passing, right? Just like he made all the throws that he should have. He missed Tyler Warren, down the field on the first drive, but he hit him on the second one. Same exact play. Okay, and that's going to happen sometimes. Like, as an NFL quarterback, you're going to miss some throws. Like, Mahomes misses throws sometimes, Burrow does, Josh Allen does, and so on. So even, missing an open Tyler Warren doesn't really concern me. I really thought the only, bad thing that Daniel Jones did was fumbling the snap. Outside of that, though, I thought it was a pretty okay day from Daniel Jones. He didn't really wow me at all, but he also didn't make me want to smash my head into something either, right? So the first drive, not good, 4 plays and a punt. Second drive, though, much better. He looked much more in rhythm, but my opinion on him hasn't really changed. This is the downside of having 6 years of bad quarterback play on tape. I've seen Daniel Jones put together drives like that before. I just haven't seen him do it consistently. That's the issue that we run into with him, right? It's but there's some other issues too. But I haven't seen him consistently do it because, look, if he consistently had drives like the second one where he's 6 of 8 passing and on time and on target, he wouldn't be in Indy. He'd still be in New York, and the Giants wouldn't have drafted Jackson Dart. So I don't know. I still think that Daniel Jones is just Daniel Jones. He can do whatever you ask of him, but nothing really more than that. Anthony Richardson came out on his first drive and was really impressive. 5 of 6 for 64 yards. He hit every easy throw, and he made it look easy, right? That's the thing that we've wanted to see from him, right? He made the easy things look easy, right? So it comes out, first drive, Colts go 12 plays, 90 yards, touchdown. Couple nice throws in there from Richardson, everything on time, on target, had a big scramble on 3rd and 9 to pick up a first down. It was a lot of what we want to see from Richardson, or what I've been asking from him. Just be normal. Just be Clark Kent and be Superman once a drive, and the Colts will be fine. He was Superman on that 3rd and 9 where he scrambles up, and he picked up a first down, right? And the Colts, they score a touchdown, and everyone's all excited. And it's here we go. Here comes Anthony Richardson. And then the second drive happens, and he goes back to being inconsistent and missing easy throws. He misses Giddens twice for what should have been easy completions, especially the first one. He's just running a little crosser. It's a 4-yard throw. That has to be put on the numbers where, your running back can accelerate through the catch and maybe turn upfield and pick up a first down. But Richardson doesn't do that. He leaves the ball a little bit behind him. The second throw, he just kind of dirted. And then the third incompletion came to Will Mallory when he tried to make a really tough throw. Right? But that's been part of the issue with Anthony Richardson. He goes for this shot on 2nd and 10 to Will Mallory. And he leaves it high, and it's, like I said, a really tough throw, trying to squeeze the ball between 3 different defenders. And while he's making that throw, DJ Giddens just runs a little curl, and he's just sitting there. There's no one within 5 yards of him. This has been part of the issue. Passing up on the easy things, because, if he completes that ball to Giddens, then you're looking at 3rd and 4, not, 3rd and 10 or whatever it was. And so I didn't really like the decision there to try to fit that ball in to Will Mallory. Then, 3rd down, they hit Giddens on a screen, and the Colts wind up kicking a field goal. Only getting 3 points when your defense forced a turnover in your opponent's territory is not great. The third drive from Anthony Richardson was ruined by A.D. Mitchell lining up offsides. The most A.D. Mitchell thing ever. A big play to Anthony Gould gets called back, and then Anthony Richardson gets sacked on third down because Matt Gonsalves didn't pick up a twist, leading to Richardson getting sacked. Now, the throw to Gould from Richardson, best play of the Colts preseason. All right, and that play is why the Colts are yet to give up on Anthony Richardson. He breaks a tackle and then throws a perfect pass 40 yards downfield with, the pocket slowly collapsing around him. Daniel Jones isn't doing that. He's just not. There's like 5 quarterbacks in the NFL who could make the play that Anthony Richardson made on that play. Like, seriously, like there's like 4 dudes. That's it. And that's why going into year 3, the Colts are still like, maybe, just maybe. We'll see. Now, when it comes to Anthony Richardson as a whole, I believe that people are overreacting to the one drive from Anthony Richardson and the one play from Anthony Gould because we've seen him do these things before. We've seen him put together one good drive. We've seen him make a crazier play than the one that he made to Anthony Gould. Now, I want to go back to last year. First preseason game, Colts Bengals, national TV, Amazon Prime is doing their little run through. So it's Herb Street. And, Herb Street had his little thing where he was like, what about Joe Flacco? What if Richardson isn't figuring out? And then everyone got mad at Herb Street and then he ended up being right. And everyone remembers that part of the game. I would like to remind you of what happened on the first drive of that game. Anthony Richardson he walks out. He is the starter. And he goes 7 of 8 for 65 yards, and he caps the drive off with a touchdown pass to A.D. Mitchell. And everyone's just over the moon. Anthony Richardson's figured it out. Watch out. Here he comes. And then Anthony Richardson finished the day 8 of 14 for 86 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. After the first drive against the Cincinnati Bengals last year in the Colts' first preseason game where he tore it up, 7 of 8, after that first drive, he proceeded to go 1 of 6 for 21 yards with an interception. And that's basically what he did against the Packers on Saturday. Starts 5 of 6 for 64 yards, and he finishes the day 6 of 11 for 73 yards. So after the first drive, on the next 2, he went 1 of 5 with 2 bad incompletions where he could have hit DJ Giddens. He should have hit DJ Giddens on both of them. That is the inconsistency that we continue to deal with from Anthony Richardson. So while people are like over the moon, like, oh, he had one good drive, that's it. My opinion on him hasn't really changed at all either. One good drive. He made one awesome play that got called back. That has been the Anthony Richardson experience thus far, with the exception of the game against the New York Jets last year where he was good for the entire thing. He's still inconsistent, and Daniel Jones is still just Daniel Jones. So I'm not taking any huge opinions or huge thoughts away from that game on Saturday. I think both guys just continue to be the exact same guys that we thought they were before training camp started, which makes Shane Steichen's decision on who the starting quarterback is going to be all the more difficult. He said yesterday in his press conference that he thought that he would have a decision here soon, and we're going to talk about that and who I think the starting quarterback is going to be in 4 minutes.
System weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune system. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes and back to system. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
Seems like back to school happens earlier each year.
First day of school coming in hot.
And this year my kids have massive supply lists.
Oh, there's notebooks and pens. Oh, the humanity.
But Staples had everything I needed, with some items just 25 cents.
Watch the small print.
No, my back-to-school budget was saved by Staples Easy Buddy.
Everything for school. In stock and as low as 25 cents. Staples.
That was easy.
In store, online, and on the app. It's included months by size.
Wesley Financial, not a law firm from Chubb McDowell, definitely not a firm. This is Chubb. Tell you what top you around something really serious. You want to get out of that silly little thing. My advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options in selection.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-838-6767.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And parts like Granger does the same. Granger offers a professional-grade product from voltage detectors to harnesses to hardware, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Drinking and driving changed the whole world. Found out what you had to consider what would happen if you got pulled over after legal fees or time in court or DUI after record. Your decision to drink and drive could change someone else's world too if you hurt or killed them in a crash. Instead, make your decision call a sober ride to change your world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by As kids go back to school, it's time for you to go back to confidence. We Grow Hair Indy helps men and women regain youthful hair back to school with just about kids. What about you? When was the last time you felt like you were doing something to help yourself? If you're having issues with your hair, let We Grow Hair Indy help you get back to your confident self. We Grow Hair Indy knows that confidence starts from the top. Call them right now. 317-522-2995. We Grow Hair Indy helps men and women get an A+ in appearance with real, lasting hair restoration and hair transplants. Their team uses industry-leading technology to deliver natural results. Don't be late. Book your free consultation now. Get extra credit for testing in your confidence. Visit WeGrowHairIndy.com or call 317-522-2995 to book your free consultation now. It's time to sharpen your look while the kids sharpen their pencils. Give them a call, 317-522-2995 or visit WeGrowHairIndy.com.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show. On Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2. And always on free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy's Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching on X__ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. And, of course, you can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app. Shane Steichen announced Saturday. Sorry, I'm ready for week one, so I can just say yesterday. But Saturday, after the Packers game, Colts head coach Shane Steichen announced that he will be making a decision soon on who the starting quarterback is going to be. And I do not envy him at all, because neither quarterback has really stepped up and just grabbed firm control of the quarterback job. Right? We saw the same thing from both of them against the Packers. One really good drive, and the rest of it was pretty underwhelming. As of today, I would still go with Daniel Jones. Anthony Richardson had a chance. He did. He had a chance to change my mind on Saturday, and he didn't. The first drive was great. It was everything that we wanted to see from him. He's hitting Anthony Gould on out routes, guys are wide open, and he's just making the easy throw. He's putting the ball on the numbers, doing it all. But after that first drive, it was just more inconsistencies, and he missed more easy throws, and you can't have that from a third-year quarterback. Oh, but Jonathan, what about the throw to Anthony Gould? Daniel Jones couldn't make that play. You're right. Daniel Jones couldn't make that play. But what about it? That's one play. And I've seen him make plays like that before, and it led the Colts to an 8-9 record last year. What I haven't seen him do is make a play like that, right? Where he, gets, shrugs the dude off and then makes an awesome throw to Gould. What I haven't seen is him make a play like that, have the play get called back, and overcome it. And this is where the importance of being consistent comes into play, because this is what the best quarterbacks in the NFL do. Mahomes just seems to overcome every mistake that his teammates make, whether it's a drop pass or a bad penalty or whatever it is. Josh Allen tends to do the same thing unless he's playing against Patrick Mahomes for some reason. The best quarterbacks in the NFL cover for the mistakes of their teammates by consistently playing great. Or they cover up their own mistakes. Like Joe Burrow throws a pick. He's like, it's fine. I'm just going to throw four touchdowns to overcome that one mistake. That is what the best quarterbacks do. I say this all the time with basketball. I say that the three-point shot covers a multitude of sins. If I turn the ball over 17 times, I'm probably going to lose. Well, wait, no, I'm not. I made 23 threes. Never mind. I'm probably going to win now. Quarterback in the NFL is the exact same thing. Oh, we turned the football over twice, but we have Josh Allen, so we're fine. But we have Lamar Jackson, so we're fine. Anthony Richardson hasn't really reached that level yet. And he's going to have to do that during the regular season because big plays, they get called back all the time. And it doesn't seem to impact teams like the Bills and the Ravens and the Chiefs and the Bengals because their quarterbacks just line up and continue to make great plays. And Anthony Richardson isn't at that point yet. And with Daniel Jones, he's not going to make as many mistakes as Anthony Richardson is. I still trust Daniel Jones to run the offense more than I do Anthony Richardson. And this is a really important thing. You have to remember who the head coach is and who's calling plays and who's scheming up plays and doing all of those things. That is so important. Because if the Colts were running some safe offense and they had, a defensive-minded head coach who wasn't scheming stuff up, then I would be more inclined to go with Anthony Richardson because he's just going to be better at creating big plays than Daniel Jones is. But Shane Steichen's the head coach. And Shane Steichen is calling the plays. And Shane Steichen is designing the plays. He can scheme up big plays. He did it with Daniel Jones twice in 2 possessions. Both times going to Tyler Warren. The first throw, Daniel Jones just missed. The second one, though, he hit him. And that's the thing with Daniel Jones. Yes, he is an on-schedule quarterback. If Daniel Jones is running your offense and you go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 5 to 1st and 10 to 2nd and 6 to 3rd and 3, then you feel pretty good about your offense because he can keep it on schedule. That is what he can do. And he can, make the throw on 3rd and 4 to, Michael Pittman Jr., who runs a 7-yard curl route or whatever it is. He can do that. You know what else he can do? If you scheme something up, and we saw Brian Dable do this with him when he was in New York, the one year that they made the playoffs. If you can scheme something up, he's an accurate enough quarterback that he can make the throw. And I just think that if you're Shane Steichen, yes, you want Anthony Richardson to develop, right? And I'm sure that Shane Steichen cares about Richardson and all those things. But you know who Shane Steichen cares about more than Richardson? Himself. He cares more about himself than he does, anyone else on the Colts roster. And Shane Steichen wants to be the head coach of the Colts next year because it's a pretty cool job. And if that means starting Daniel Jones, a guy that he knows can run his system, then that's what he's going to do. No question about it. So Shane Steichen, once again, says that he's close. Hopefully we find out at some point this week who the starter is going to be. That way we don't have to speculate anymore about who's it going to be, or we don't have to look at practice completion percentage and and all those things. Hopefully, we don't have to do that anymore soon. And it's just like as I said, I don't envy Shane Steichen. This is an incredibly tough decision because neither guy has really separated himself, and it really sucks that neither guy has just been like, you know what, this job is mine. I'm just going to take it, and it makes me feel even worse about the upcoming season. I just do, because neither one of these, like, the track records of these guys in the NFL regular season aren't very good. What we've seen in the preseason games aren't exactly encouraging. Like, between both preseason games, Daniel Jones has had one good drive. That's it. So I just, oh man, Otter Creek chiming in over on the YouTube chat saying, if Daniel Jones wins the job, do you consider going ahead and trading Richardson for whatever you can get? It would depend on what the offer is. I probably wouldn't, just because you're selling really, really low on him if you bench him for Daniel Jones. I'd probably wait, because I don't think that Daniel Jones is the answer. I don't. Maybe, you give him one more year to come in and maybe compete for the job again. You also need like a real backup quarterback. So, and like Riley Leonard does not need to be the backup. That dude is no good whatsoever. So I don't think that they'll trade him. I don't think I would either, because the dude is super talented. I'd probably keep him around one more year, give him one more offseason to really go and work on the accuracy and those things, because look, it's one game, so maybe I'm overreacting, but he did look better making those easy throws to Doolin on the curl, Gould on the out routes and those things. So like, if they really think that he's gotten better, and if they think that maybe one more offseason is what he needs to kind of reach that point where he can be a consistently accurate quarterback in the NFL, then I would hold on to him. I don't know the answer to that, though, in terms of what they're thinking, but I would hold on to him just simply because I'd rather have him as my backup quarterback than Riley Leonard. That's going to do it here on The Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to tune into the show, no matter how you tuned in, whether that was YouTube, X, or the Indie Sports Ticket app, or 14:30 a.m. I'll be back on the air tomorrow from 10 to noon. Zach Hicks is going to join the show, and we'll talk even more about these Colts quarterbacks and what we kind of expect to happen from here. I know we had some issues with the streaming stuff today. Hopefully all that will be fixed for tomorrow. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll talk to you tomorrow starting at 10 a.m.